Right, you're welcome back from the news update. Welcome back to Nigeria Vote Studios right here at TVC News. Like you heard earlier, the National Coalition Center in Abuja will resume at 8:30. So far, 28 states results, that's the presidential election results, have been released. We've been following those numbers, and they're getting wider and wider. My guests are still very much with me here. Jane Mba Afolabi, thank you so much for remaining with us. And Ayodele Adewale, good to have you. Stay with us all evening. The numbers are really getting wider and wider. Like I asked earlier before we went on the news update, is it clear now where it's all falling?
Yeah, it's very clear that President Buhari have won the elections. If you look at the Barack Obama's election, the second-time election, before some states were counted, everybody has seen that Barack Obama had won the election. Are
you saying that in spite of the fact that we're yet to hear from the results from how many more states? About 6 states, if I'm not mistaken.
You only need to look at the numbers of voters' cards that were registered in those states, and if you plug it together, you will see that even with all of that, you cannot still meet up with what President Buhari have gotten, regardless of the fact that the APC is also going to get some chunk, if not many chunk of those votes cast.
Would you say the same, Janet?
Not exactly, in the sense that I want to wait for the last result to come in, and INEC will announce the winner, and then we can now say this is the winner of this election. There is no doubt that these 1 million vote states, Kano, Katsina, Gombe, they have swallowed all the pockets of victory that PDP may have made in some states.
That's an interesting word you use, swallow.
Yes, because that's what it is from the analysis, you know, from the pockets of victory made in Enugu, Anambra, Oyo, and all of that. But I would like to still wait to the end of the voting, because it's not an event, it's a process. Although it's very cumbersome, you have to go through 73 parties who contested, and many of them did not even have a single vote. But we still have to patiently wait, because the end will come eventually.
Well, we'll come back to the issue of the need to patiently wait, and the whole process of both executing the election and, of course, the results coming out. What a wait it is, and how truly cumbersome it must be, both for INEC and all stakeholders, including Nigerians themselves, who are waiting anxiously to find out who exactly the winner of the presidential election is. Now, let's even talk about the requirements. What is constitutionally required for a president to emerge?
Well, basically, you have to have 25% across board, and President Buhari have been able to do that across board. And like she said, those big votes are really catapulted in very high. If you plug all the numbers together now, you should be leading with about 2 million votes.
If not more.
If not more, about 2 million votes. Yeah. So let's see how it plays out.
Let's see how it plays out. 12 to 3rd of the state, at least 25% of votes in 24 states. That is what is required for a president to emerge.
1/4 of 25 states.
Yes. Now, with these requirements, in the early days of the numbers coming out, you had the PDP national chairman rejecting the results so far. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think it was a bit too early for that stance?
I think it was a hasty rejection. He should have waited till the end. INEC is still midwifing this process. It has not delivered. The woman has not delivered. Nigeria has not delivered. We are still in the process of contraction, so it's too early to say, no, we don't want this baby is not mine, because we have not gotten to the end of the delivery. So for me, I think the opposition should have waited and not be too hasty to excite or to incite Nigerians and those who are indifferent. You know, some people are actually indifferent to what is happening. Some people are very strong supporters of some of them. There is no doubt that this contest is clearly between APC and PDP from the result that we have seen. So it was, for me, I think, patience. It should have applied patience and maturity. After all, in 2015, APC did not go out to say we should cancel this election, we won't accept the results. They waited to the end. So I expect the same way that they should wait to the end.
What do you think is likely to happen with that particular stance? Because I don't think the PDP has retracted on that stance, that the results so far, at the time that the party rejected the results, you know.
Well, they have the right to maintain those stands. They have the right, but they must also understand that they also have the right to go and take redress. You can't stop this process. If you believe that the process has not been fair to you, then go to the tribunal. So you don't have to incite anybody. The election is keenly contested. Every candidate of various parties went across the country to aspire and campaign and all of that. So I don't see the reason why they should condemn the process.
Okay. Now, let's begin to look elsewhere beyond the presidential election, because it wasn't only the presidential election that was held on February 23rd. We had the National Assembly elections, and with the figures that we're looking at, you know, we're looking at it while the news was going on. Senate, of course, is made up of about 109 senators, and reps about 400 and
300,
yeah,
300 plus
or so. Now, with the figures that we're seeing here, the APC has about 86 senators. I'm wondering what kind of National Assembly do you think the 9th Assembly will be like? If, by all indication, if this results that we're seeing with the APC presidential results is anything to go by?
Well, what you're going to see in the National Assembly this time around is that the ruling party is going to have its way all through, particularly with its programs. You're not going to have delay in budget presentation. You're not going to have delay in passing of various bills. You understand, as sponsored by the executive, you're going to see a robust relationship between the executive and the legislator. And you are going to see a legislative arm of government that is very bubbly and very idealistic. And you're going to see fast pace in our development this time around.
Do you believe so?
I think that we are going to see a National Assembly, a peaceful one. They won't spend more time in quarrels, trying to settling political scores instead of passing the budget. And this will give the president a free hand, in quotes, not an absolute free hand in the sense of free, but he will be at peace in relating with this National Assembly, because they are in clear majority, and it will be easy for them to pass bills, to pass budget, to realize the promises. Perhaps one of the reasons why some of the promises the APC made in 2015 were not fulfilled were in the delayed budget, because they need money to be able to implement those promises. But this time, budget will be passed on time, and so the masses will expect that some of those promises will be fulfilled. And because you also know that senators are supposed to be trustees for states.
Yes.
So these senators are automatically trustees for all the states that they are representing. But unfortunately, many of them go there and forget the primary role for which they were voted for.
Do you think lessons may have been learned from the last 4 years as far as the relationship between the executive and the legislature is concerned?
Definitely a lesson learned. And for those who were not voted back into office, you can see that the Buhari mantra that brought them into office, ab initio, is not in their favor, particularly when they decamp to other parties. So they've also been able to see their strength, and they've seen that it would have paid them to actually remain in their previous party and listen to the party dictates. The party is supreme. whatever issues we have within your party, it's better that you settle it within the party rather for you to jump boats and just drown in the sea. Are
we likely to see more of jumping boats, to use your phrase? Are we likely to see that going forward?
More like we are going to see that of jumping boat. I think.
No, maybe people who, you know, just like you said, may have learned some lesson and said, look, okay, maybe it was wrong for us to have left our party before. Maybe it's time to go back.
Because the lessons some of them may have learned is that there was a serious disconnect between them and the people that put them there. And so the people are now retaliating by showing discontent in not voting them back. That's a very serious lesson. For a leader, you should be able to be close enough to your people to relate with them and also be far ahead of them to be able to motivate them. That's what we are seeing in the north, in Kano. Their leaders are very close to them. They relate with them. They come down to their level. But in some places where we have seen that some of them lost, they were very far from the people. They didn't even know their needs. And in a place like Kwara, you can see that the former, well, not former, the Senate president was not voted for. And I'm glad that he said...
And the Senate minority leader was not voted for, and was not returned to.
Yes. So that is a sign that the people do not want them back. The people want a change. The people want those that will go there and actually represent them and not go there and pursue their own personal agenda. And I want to also add that in all of this, people should learn that governance is not an event. It is a process. It is not an event like firefighting or crisis management. It is a process where you go to the root cause, you tackle the root cause of the problem of your people, not just going to Abuja to represent them and showcase yourself.
You just touched on a very, very important aspect there, the structure of governance. How will that really make or mar when it comes to deliverables in governance, Ayo? If the structure remains the way it is, recall there's the ongoing debate about the structure of, you know, the issue of restructuring and all of that. If the structure remains the same, are we likely to, 4 years down the line, look back and have the same issues on the table? Or would we have made progress?
Well, I mean, definitely there need to be a lot of discourse around restructuring of the country. Take, for instance, community policing, state police, for instance. A lot of debate must go on. And I do believe that this time around, the state will be able to create enabling laws that will firm up the creation of state police. And on the issue of the Lagos state having a special status, I believe it's the best time for Lagos to represent the incoherent decision that was talked about at the previous National Assembly and especially at the Senate, because Lagos have all it takes now to get its right from the federal government, and especially that special status that should be given to Lagos apart from the oil revenue and all of that. And you could see what had happened at the port. If Lagos was able to control the revenue from the port, a lot of those funds would have been plowed into infrastructure. And remember that Lagos still have enormous federal presence in it. So the federal government need to come into Lagos to bail it out. Likewise, other states. Look at the issue of the cleaning of the environment in the Niger Delta. The government have been trying a lot to push a lot of funds there. With the right National Assembly now, I mean, enabling laws will be put in place to get funds from the federal purse in order to plow into that area. Look at the issue of insecurity, particularly as it concerns fighting Boko Haram. It took the federal government to push their way through the National Assembly just to get $1 billion. Now, those kind of issues will not come up again because the party will be able to deliberate on these sundry matters within their own party caucus and bring it to the mainstream of our environment for the country to debate on it.
All right, you already have a shopping list and it's looking a bit long. What do you think, Janet, for the next president of Nigeria, what would you say should be the first thing that he tackles from the get-go?
I think he should just choose one thing that affects every Nigerian.
Which would be?
Maybe power. Because if you tackle power first, and I want to see a situation where we will have lights or power, we are used to saying lights, where we have power 24 hours in all the states in one day. Let's even celebrate 1 day of power supply in all the states.
Like Ghana celebrated 2 years of uninterrupted power supply?
Exactly. Let's even celebrate 1 day first as a stepping stone, you know, as taking the first step. I want to see power because a lot of things are tied to power. Many barbers, many hairdressers, many youth who may have done other things have taken to Okada riding and killing and maiming and breaking people's bones to land them in orthopedic hospital because there is no power to pursue their career. Their careers have rested in peace because of lack of power. So if we take that first and see what is the real problem with power generation, is it the generation or the transmission? Because there are two different things. Or is it the supply? So you look at...
Or is it the distribution?
That's the supply I'm talking about, the distribution.
Yes.
So you look at the three areas where power is embedded, and then you tackle them. Whatever needs to be done, you do it. Do one thing. That's what I want to see.
Well, don't you think, like, I mean, it's a similar question that I'd asked, was it yesterday or the other day, about the national question. Do you think that that is something that needs to be looked into seriously before we can talk about power or education or health and all other things that make life worth living?
I was privileged in 2006 to be part of a process that tried to reinvent the Nigerian Constitution. It was piloted by Chief Anthony Enaro of blessed memories, Professor Wole Soyinka, and late Dr. Becker and Sam Kuti. I think this is the best time for the Nigerian government to work with the National Assembly in order to restructure the Nigerian Constitution so that so many things that are inconsistent in the Constitution can be worked out. Remember not too long ago, the President approached the National Assembly for special powers in order to combat corruption. With the way the Constitution is now, it's more difficult for the President to combat corruption. And also on the issue of power that she mentioned.
Yeah, but at the time, the argument was that the President already had enough powers, and any more powers would amount to...
With the way the Constitution
excessive power.
For those that designed that military decree that we call a Constitution, they so design it in other way that there's a vent for corrupt people to escape. You understand?
Loopholes.
There are loopholes in it. That is why the President went to the National Assembly to ask for special powers in order to deal with these sundry matters. Now, also look at the issue of power like she mentioned. We need to unbundle it in the sense that each state should be able to produce energy. Local government should be able to produce energy. All of this quantum of energy can be put together in order to drive our system. You understand? Yes, the Mambila Dam or whatever it is being built and so many things. There are states that can do this. Take for example, Lagos State. If we have adequate laws that can guarantee such opportunities, even for investors to even come in, you understand? I mean, in order for you to give them, what do you call these things now?
Tax holidays.
Tax holidays and incentives and all of these things for them to come in. You understand? We should unbundle this, and this is the best time to work it out.
And just like you said, of course, power is very, very fundamental.
It's very key.
Very key. But let's come back even to this, because we just went off a bit. As a woman, are you impressed with women participation in the whole process so far?
I'm not impressed with women participation. I feel that more women should have participated, but they have their own challenges, which I feel they should also turn into opportunities, because challenges for me should be opportunities to move ahead. Firstly, women do not have the kind of finances to fund their elections. Campaigns are by no means cheap, not anywhere in the world. Media, that's adverts, touring the states, touring local government, you need money. And how many women are rich enough to do that? And when you come to primaries, women are made to pay. Some parties like APC and PDP,
they exempted. They actually exempted.
They didn't exempt. they slashed, if men were paying 2 million, the women paid 1 million, but they still paid. Because like a woman told me that she is happy that they asked them to pay so that the men will not look down on them and feel that they were given a free ride. So let them sweat it out and pay the money.
And earn their pay.
And earn their respect. But the unfortunate thing is that some of them pay through their noses. And then at the end of the day, either they were made to step down, that it was not their turn, they should go and queue and wait for their turn. But I feel that that turn should have been told to them before they pay the money. Why collect the money and then tell them to wait? Should have told them first that it's not your turn.
Ayo, do you think the women and even the youth have been left behind in the scheme of things?
You see, I have a different view to it.
Okay.
That debate, I had a big debate like that with Professor Jadisola Akonde, OFR, before she passed on. And I'm of the view that women are wonderfully created, and they should also work on their population. They have a strong power of persuasion. Why can't they use it? You've seen Indira Gandhi, you've seen Bhutto, you've seen so many women all over the world.
Golda Meir of Israel,
you understand?
Margaret Thatcher, Theresa May.
You understand? We don't need to petrify this issue. The major thing is your programs. You should be able to convince people in order to gain their support. If we continue to sacrifice sentiment at the altar of competence, we won't get this country right.
Yeah, but there's affirmative action. Is that...
I have always told, like Dr. Joe Odumaki and so many of their kind in civil society that, look, I as a person, they shouldn't hang me for it. I don't believe in affirmative action. If you are begging for a certain percentage and you have the ability to take all, why don't you take all? If you are saying, I want to go for 35%, and your ability can give you 90%, why waste time on 35%?
Is Nigeria ready for the women folk to even attempt to think of taking
organized. They should get more organized. You understand? If they are very organized, they can become whatever they want to become in the country. They shouldn't set a limit for themselves.
Is that what the problem is? That women are not organized?
The problem is still funding. If you are popular, you have all the women, you have all the women supporting you, and you don't have the money. There's no way you can do campaigns in this country, Madam, even outside. But the country you were,
do you really need money? Do you need money to be a community mobilizer?
I'll take myself as a case study.
Let me conclude my thoughts.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You mentioned Indira Gandhi. These are societies that their systems are built on honesty. But we are in a different society and we operate a different system. A woman will come out and say she wants to lead. And then the African sentiment will come in. Say you're a woman, you're supposed to be in the kitchen, operating from there. You are not supposed to be heard. You can only be seen but not heard. And that even religious also plays a major role. Custom, tradition, and those are the basic factors that are also militating against women advancement in this country. However, we have the number. If only women can work together and then source money, if it means donating 1,000 for each other, and believe in that woman. I also do not believe in 35%.
That seems to be where the problem is. Actually believing in the cause of, the woman. Yeah, just like you said.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in 35%.
The point is, do the women themselves really believe enough in themselves in a way that it will express itself in the way they push and, in spite of the challenges that they may encounter?
I think the first thing is to believe in yourself and believe that you can surmount whatever task you put before yourself. I was trying to set myself as an example. I ran an election in my local government. It took me 4 years of campaign before I won the ticket. It took me several years to convince a lot of our political leaders, particularly in the civil society, that I can do this. It's about conviction. If you persist on a particular thing that you are convinced about, then you have a headway. If you're not able to convince people on the reason why they should accept your conviction, it becomes an Herculean task and it becomes a nullity for you. So don't look at money first. Look at the program, look at the idea. Set up a path for yourself. Then as you go on, people believe in your idea, then they bring money to it. President Buhari never had money. He never had money. He had an idea. And people believed in his idea. And they believed in his person and his credibility. And they plugged in. They plugged in.
How much of the money factor may have affected the other political parties that people really tended to believe in? But with the results that we've been getting so far, they didn't go anywhere. They obviously did not make
any impact.
Any impact whatsoever. But you know what? We'll put this on hold. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Nigeria Votes. Stay with us.